Friends, I want to talk about the way in which the Ukrainian conflict has destabilized West African security. So when we talk about the Ukrainian conflict's impact on security, quite naturally, pretty much everyone talks about how it destabilized Europe. But did you know that it's also directly destabilized West Africa? Well, I didn't, but before I get to how it's doing so, I want to set the backdrop in place. So by now, you're all probably well aware of the global food and fuel crises, right? Because of the West sanctions on fertilizer, food, and fuel, it's become pretty difficult for Moscow to export these commodities. In turn, its partners across the developing world are experiencing a very high risk of political unrest because living standards have plummeted, and thus people might end up carrying out color revolutions or weaponized protests against their government, or at worst, be susceptible to terrorist recruitment out of desperation. Either way, it's pretty bad stuff. But now it turns out that there's a direct impact as well. So here's what happened. Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari recently revealed that arms are flooding into the Lake Chad region from Ukraine. Now, the Lake Chad region is where Boko Haram hangs out, where they've killed a lot of people. They've kidnapped kids. They carry out terrorism. They blow things up. I mean, pretty evil, heinous bunch there. But apparently now they're getting arms from Ukraine. Quite interesting, right? And according to Buhari, the arms that are flooding into that region are beginning to equal those that had previously flooded in from Libya and the Sahel. Now, we know that this isn't just wild speculation because back in August, CBS News ran a report that they later edited under pressure from Kiev, alleging that the vast majority of arms that go into that former Soviet republic are unaccounted for. And the U.S. subsequently dispatched boots on the ground to specifically monitor those arms. So we do know that the problem exists. Question is, who has an interest in fueling terrorism in Africa? You know who I think? France. Why? Because their neo-colonial sphere of influence that they condescendingly refer to as France Afrique. Let's not forget that they still control quite a lot of countries' currencies directly, and yes, literally, is crumbling. Mali has previously accused France of supporting terrorism, and Burkina Faso has recently shuttered a French radio station for supporting terrorism. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a French trace. Let's see. I hope folks investigate.